Today we're covering Pythagorean Theorem, which the one thing you need to know about Pythagorean Theorem is that it's only true for right triangles. It only works for right triangles. The other part of Pythagorean Theorem that you have to know is that the hypotenuse is the longest side of the right triangle. It's opposite of the 90 degree, the right angle. Okay? The legs are adjacent. Adjacent meaning they touch the right angle. Alright? So you have two legs and hypotenuse on a right triangle. Right? You have to know which is which. Right? If you don't know, if you get confused, it will not work out. It only works out if the legs are here and the hypotenuse is here. Any questions? Alright, write this down. This is Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. This Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. If I square a and I square b, if I square the two legs and add them together, it gives me the square of the hypotenuse. Somehow, some way, someone figured this out. They figured out that if you square the legs, they give you the square of the hypotenuse. Right? You can't just do a plus b equals c. It doesn't work that way. But if you square them, it does. Alright? And this only works if this is the right triangle. It will not work on the obtuse triangles. It won't work on the acute triangles. Only right triangles. Write this down. Alright, this is what Pythagorean Theorem is for. It's to find a missing length of the right triangle. And it doesn't have to necessarily be the hypotenuse, but it's the easiest one to find. So what I do is I take 10 squared plus 24 squared, and that's going to give me c squared. That'll tell me how long the hypotenuse is. 10 squared is 100. 24 squared is 576. And that equals c. So 100 plus 576 is 676 equal to c squared. We know how to find c squared by taking the square root of both sides. That gives me c. This would give me plus or minus the square root of 676, which is 26. But is there any way the hypotenuse is negative 26? No. So it definitely could not. It could not. How do you have a negative for distance? You can't have negative distance. So your answer is 26. The length of the hypotenuse is 26 units. If this was inches, it'd be inches. If it was feet, it'd be feet. Any questions? Alright, so we're given this right triangle. So I can use Pythagorean Theorem and do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is why it's important to know a, b, and c, because they'll flip them around, they'll put it upside down. You need to know which one's a and which one's b and which one's c. C is always the longest one. So what I like to do is I just like to write out Pythagorean Theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Plug in what I know. Oh. Alright. I've got b squared. That's the one I'm trying to find. So I do 49 plus b squared is equal to, does anyone know what 15 on 15 is? It is 225. So I subtract 49 to both sides. That gives me 176 is equal to b squared. So then I square root both sides.
How did you get 75? I mean,
which gives me this. B is equal to 13.26649. I believe they're going to round to their nearest tenth, so it'd be 13.2. And there's your answer. If c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, then a triangle is a right triangle. Meaning if you're a and b, when you square them and add them, you get c squared. That means it must be a right triangle, because that only works for right triangles. So you need to figure out, is this a right triangle? And it has these three sides, 9, 12, and 16. Well, my c is always my longest, so I do 9 squared plus 12 squared, and see if it equals 16 squared. 9 squared is 81, 12 squared is 144, and I see if that's equal to 16 squared, which is 256. 81 and 144 give you 225, right? Which is that 256? No. So is this a right triangle? No.
So basically, you just do the two lowest ones equals the height.
Mm-hmm. Now let's do 30, 40, and 50. Okay? So 30 squared plus 40 squared is equal to 50 squared, which that gives you 900. This gives you 1600, and that gives you 2500. Add 900 and 1600. What does it give you? 2500. Does 2500 equal 2500?
Yeah.
So yes, this is a right triangle. I will tell you the most common Pythagorean triple is 3, 4, and 5. There's a couple others. I want to say it's 5, 8, and 9. But the most common one is 3, 4, and 5. So if you see that, you'll know it's a Pythagorean triple, which means it's just whole numbers that always come out the same. Any questions? Here's your homework assignment.